friends, and thanks for joining me. And today I want to talk to you about how to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I recently read a statistic from the Wall Street Journal that it's estimated that about 70% of Americans actually live paycheck to paycheck, and this somewhat scares me for sure because I feel like living paycheck to paycheck is somewhat of a dangerous way to live. Basically, if we ever were to have a need, we won't have the ability to meet that need. So we would have to either go without or, end up having to borrow or beg, from neighbors or family, friends, etc., in order to get the money we need to meet that need. And so when we are young, it's maybe not as big of a deal if maybe we're living at home or whatever. We just don't have as many responsibilities at that time. But when we're on our own, when we have a home, when we have kids, when we have a family especially, they're all depending on us to be able to make sure that we can meet everyone's needs. And so we really do need the kind of security that comes from not living paycheck to paycheck. And if we don't have that kind of security and that need comes up, then everyone can suffer because of that. So again, because everybody is counting on us, we need to make sure that we can make that happen. And honestly, it boils down to just basically two keys, two steps to make sure that we can kind of break free from that. So the first one would be to have a budget. Budgeting is extremely important. It kind of like irons out, if you will, those bumps and dips that we have in life. So instead of going out to Red Lobster the day after payday and then having to borrow money from, family or friends the day before payday for gas, we kind of like have the money we need for what we need when we need it, and there isn't quite so many highs and lows. Because even though a high can be nice, going, out or whatever it is you want to do once you feel like you're rich because you just got paid, it's worse to have it when it, once the money runs out and you can't fix your car, you can't fix your house, whatever it is, you get sick and you feel like you have to go to work, or your kid gets sick and you don't have the ability to stay home with them, because you have to work, that sort of thing. So yeah, having a budget is really important to making sure that we have, a level amount pretty much throughout the whole, month, from one payday to the next, and that we're looking ahead to the bills that come up to make sure that when those sorts of things come up, they're covered. So hopefully that makes sense. I will say though that when we put together our budget, if it looks like there either is the same amount of money as our bills or even less, then it's probably an income issue and that needs to be addressed first. This can't be fixed. You cannot stop living paycheck to paycheck when our bills are so high that we can't meet those needs. So yeah, we either need to reduce our bills or we need to increase the income. So that's sort of a half step first to making sure that we have at least more income than we have bills so that we have some room to work with there. So once we have that in place, we can put together our budget, iron everything out, and then we're good. And then the second key would be to have some money set aside for emergencies. Have some money in a savings account or whatever. There's a saying, I'm not even sure who said this. My dad is the one I always hear say this, but it's basically, into every life some rain must fall, and this is absolutely true. How many of us can honestly say that we've never had problems in our life? I mean, probably not anyone. So since we all know problems are going to arise, if we're people, we're going to get sick. If we own a car, it's going to need, a repair from time to time. If we have a house, it's going to need something here and there. So we might as well have some money set aside for that because we know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and what. If you don't have an umbrella, you're going to get wet. And unfortunately, if we have kids, that also means that if we don't have that umbrella when it does rain, they're going to get wet too. So it's really important for us to make sure that we have that kind of safety net in place. Having these two things in place, having our budget so that we make sure that all of it is ironed out, and then having that money set aside in savings makes a huge difference when it comes to our stress level and our quality of life. Because again, when your kid gets sick and you want to stay home with them, we can do that without having to sit and stress and worry, oh no, what are we going to do with, the missed, money that we're going to make from our job from having to stay home or whatever. Or feeling like we have to go in sick anyway. I remember that feeling and it was the worst feeling ever. So yeah, just having a much more positive and happy and upbeat lifestyle comes from having this sort of thing in place to where we don't live paycheck to paycheck. We have the assurance that everyone in our family will be taken care of no matter what that family size is. If it's just you, hey, you're still worth not having to live in stress for. And if there's multiple people, then it's better for everyone to have that kind of, stress-free life as well. So anyway, hopefully this video was helpful to you. I'm Frugal Green Girl, and we'll see you next time.